This is the Louie T Network.
See, first come the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then my team was 6-10, and we ain't smell the playoffs. Yeah, I seen the Super Bowl, but I heard they just play balls. A lot of teams had injuries. Sam Bradford had to take off. Go hard in the offseason, but you don't know the half. Before you know, we gon' look up, and we ready for the draft. They dressed up in that suit tie, and I don't know how to act. They waiting, so patient, so they can put on that hat. Who else could it be? But your man Luke. Okay, so when she asks you where you at, you tell her you in the lab room. Who else could it be? Who? But your man Luke. Okay, so when she asks where you was at, you can tell her you was in the lab room. Yeah.
Hey yo, who else could it be? Me, Dormant. Louie T, welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 15 in the National Football League. Two-pack Shaquille. Got that fresh two-pack for y'all. I told you I was going to couple Monday night and Sunday night in two-pack form. So here we are, a quick two-pack to break down those games. Sunday Night Football, Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Arizona Cardinals, and two teams going in vastly different directions. One already locking up their division and looking to try to get the number one seed overall in the NFC with a first round bye and all of those good things. The other just looking to try to get in. Front door, back door, doesn't matter though. They're just trying to get into the postseason and give themselves a chance. And so let's start with the Eagles in this game. It didn't matter whether they won or lost this game. It really wasn't going to have any bearing on the outcome of their season. Next week is the game that the Eagles must win, and then the game thereafter if they're going to go to the playoffs. If they win the last two games of the season, the Eagles are in. Simple as that. So whether they beat the Arizona Cardinals or not really didn't matter. It was more of a litmus test and a measuring stick for them. If they could find a way to beat the Arizona Cardinals, we realize in the last two games, or last 2 out of 3 games, they would have beaten the Patriots and the Cardinals. Two teams that we feel like are Super Bowl contenders in their respective conferences. I mean, you would think that the Eagles would have to be one of the hottest teams going into the postseason if they were able to win this game, and then the two that follow against the Redskins and the Giants, they would be riding a 5-game winning streak with wins against the Patriots, Cardinals, and the Redskins, and you would think that this team would be flying high going into the postseason, but it wasn't meant to be. Cardinals came in, did what they were supposed to do. And I think the Eagles understand what was at hand. They had an opportunity to do something big, but they're not there. And to me, they're not a good football team, a good enough team to win the NFC East. We'll see if they're able to mount enough strength and summons enough good football to beat the Redskins in Week 16 at home on Saturday Night Football, and then beat the Giants on the road in Week 17 and win this division. It's still there in front of them. They understand that, but they did not play well on Sunday night. Let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals and what they were able to accomplish in that game. To put up 40 points, to have John Brown dropping the football the way he did in that game, to have the running game show up and be such a physical presence on Sunday night was just amazing. The fact that the Cardinals won this game in a different way shows you just how talented and multifaceted this football team is, because for weeks they had been relying on the passing game, and everybody thought going into the game the Eagles were going to struggle stopping the Cardinals' passing attack. They were already thin at the cornerback position. They lose another one during the course of the game. They lose a safety. They were all banged up in this game, and you already felt like they were going to struggle stopping the passing game. Going into the game, now you lose a corner and a safety, and all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, wow, they're in some serious trouble. Are these Eagles to stop this Cardinals passing attack? Well, it ended up being the ground game that got them, and if the Cardinals can continue to run the football as physically as they did with David Johnson, the rookie out of in northern Iowa, they're going to be a major factor come postseason time. Not to say that they weren't already going to be a major factor, but if you add that one element, the ability to run the football, to this potent passing attack, to me, one of the best, if not the best, vertical passing games in all the National Football League. I think the Steelers might have something to say about that, but those two teams to me are light years ahead of everyone else in their vertical passing game. You add this running game, this type of physical, in-your-face, smash-mouth running game. David Johnson, over 100 and I want to say 70 yards in this game on about 30 carries. He was electric, 3 touchdowns, including a highlight reel touchdown where he runs over about 3 Eagles, stiff arm another, and gets into the end zone on about a 45, 50-yard run. Thing of beauty. If they can get that out of him, and we know how multi-talented he is as a pass catcher, a protector in the backfield, and a guy that can run the football, they can get that kind of production out of him in the running game. And you're getting Andre Ellington back probably next week against Green Bay. This is a dangerous Arizona Cardinals football team. Now, they did sustain a huge loss in this game. They lose Tyrann Mathieu, and that hurts my heart to see him go down in garbage time of this football game with an interception. Tears his ACL, done for the season, going to have surgery next week. And it just hurts because he's such a big part of what that defense does. He is that Arizona Cardinals defense, and to lose him, to already be down Rashad Johnson, and he'll be back soon enough, but that was one of those losses that they just couldn't afford to take in that secondary, and I think that's going to hurt them moving forward. And so we'll see how they're able to circumvent that injury, but that was a tough one to stomach because of what he means to that Arizona Cardinals defense. But dominating performance, and if John Brown catches the football, they might score 50 or 60 in this game. Instead, they beat the Eagles 40-17. For the Eagles to get gashed on the ground, to already be suspect through the air, your defense is really hurting. And now you got a Redskins offense that's playing probably their best football of the season with vertical threats from Deshaun Jackson and Jordan Reed working the short to intermediate game, but can stretch the field as well. And the Redskins really don't have much of a running game to speak of, but if you can't stop the run, they could be in some serious trouble next week. We'll see if the Eagles are able to kind of turn it up a bit, find a way to get back on their horse and win next week and salvage their season. And that'll be for the NFC East divisional crown right there. If they can win that game and then win against the Giants in week 17, they will be the NFC East champions. If they lose to the Redskins, Redskins win the NFC East on Saturday. So that'll be interesting for the Cardinals. They go to, I want to say now they are 12-2 on the season. First time in franchise history they've won 12 games. Now they have the Green Bay Packers coming to Arizona. That's going to be a dynamite Sunday night, game next week. And I would have loved to have seen them flex that to Sunday night, but I think the Cardinals have already hit their maximum amount of primetime games. So I don't know if they'll be able to get that or not, but they've been on Monday night, they've been on Sunday night at least 3 times, and you're only allowed to be on primetime 5 times. And I want to say the Cardinals have been on Thursday, Monday, and they've been on Sunday night 3 times already, if I'm not mistaken. So love to have seen them flex that Green Bay game, but they've already put the Minnesota Vikings and the Giants on Sunday night. So that's going to be a huge game. Cardinals win next week. They sew up that first round bye in the NFC. If they lose to the Packers, then they have to win in week 17 to solidify a first round bye in the NFC playoffs. So huge game for the Cardinals next week as they go to 12-2 on the season. The Eagles drop to 7-7, or 6-8, and have to win out to make the postseason. You go to Monday Night Football. It was a game between 2 teams not going to the postseason. Not a lot at stake in this game, but again, it's football, so you know I'm going to eat it up. Yum, yum, eat them up. Yum, yum, eat them up. Go ahead and serve it up, and I'll consume it. So, Lions on the road versus the New Orleans Saints. Lions have been playing much better football of late, but last week was disappointing. The loss to the Rams. Thought it was a lackluster performance by the Detroit Lions. They looked more like the team we saw earlier in the season that was struggling than the team we had seen of late that was playing much better football. Well, this game against the Saints, they look more like the team that had won 3 in a row and started having people talk about potentially this team making the postseason. And so I think the Saints do a good job of making every offense that they play against look like one of the best offenses in the league. And the Lions, they did their part to make sure that the Saints defense looked bad in this game. They put up 28 points just like that. It was 28-3 in this game. They dominated early, and they really jumped the Saints in this game. And the thing that was impressive with their defense, we knew the offense could really get going against this really porous and young Saints defense, but to see the defense come out with the intensity that they did to bottle up Drew Brees, really confuse him and make him uncomfortable, to force some 3-and-outs early in this game, to give the offense back to football and allow them to score points, that was impressive from the Lions in this game. And so they were able to do that. And it really benefited them in the long run because they needed to get out to that big lead because the Saints came roaring back. Just when you thought this game was done, it was 28-3 at one point in this game. They make a furious comeback to the Saints, but all for naught as the Detroit Lions are able to hold off the Saints and win the game 35-24. A big game for Matthew Stafford. 88% completion percentage, 22 of 25, which is insane, but that's what teams have been doing against the Saints defense this year. They make every quarterback look like the best quarterback in the league, and Matthew Stafford did his part to make sure that the Saints continued that trend. He was able to do whatever he wanted to do. Golden Tate, Calvin Johnson, you name it. Ebron had a big catch and run. You know how I feel about Theo Riddick Jr. He's one of my favorite backs in the league. And he made the L.A.B ass his pants on one stop and go on a catch. And that's the kind of player he is, though. Stick his foot in the ground, make sharp cuts. You know, to me, he's the new Reggie Bush in the league, where he can just make these sudden cuts and change directions effortlessly. And he did that in this game, and he's a big weapon for them. They got it done, and they win the football game 35-24 for the Saints. You look at them, it's the same old story that has really haunted them all season long. It's a porous defense that can't stop anybody. Brandon Brown are picking up penalties and them just not being able to keep teams from getting in the end zone. We saw the graphic about them having one of the worst, passing defenses and giving up touchdowns in the league. And we're talking league history, not just this season in the league. They're approaching historic territory. They were 2 touchdowns away from tying the NFL record for most touchdown passes given up in a season. The 2 teams that were surrounding them, they had tied like the 1942 or 69 or whatever team, and then there was another team from like the 40s, 50s, or 60s that they were approaching. That's when they played 14 games in a season, so probably in the 60s. Now, they've already tied that record, or have 1 touchdown to go, I believe, with 14 games. They've got 2 games left. They're going to break that record. They're going to shatter it, and I don't know if anyone's going to be able to touch the ineptitude of this Saints passing defense. They're going to give up at least 45, 46, maybe even 47 touchdowns this season, depending on how bad they are in the final 2 weeks of the season. But make no mistake about it, they're bad on defense. They're young more so than bad. And so they did what they've done all season long. It was disappointing to see the offense not be able to get things going against the Lions, and that's where this game was basically lost for the New Orleans Saints as they lose at home again. And it used to be a time where you couldn't beat the Saints on prime time in New Orleans. They've struggled this season at home in general, but even on prime time they've struggled at home, and that's something that I'm not used to seeing. But they didn't get it done. Lions do. Both teams leave this game at 5-9 on the season, and so big win for the Detroit Lions. If they're going to try to save their head coach Jim Caldwell's job, they're going to need some more performances like this to finish up the season. For the Saints, I asked the question on my One Bernie question series, where is this team heading? What are they doing? Where are they going? And this game further confuses me as to where this team is heading moving forward. And so that's going to do it for me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab. We'll come back and join me. Let me take a break that down. And that's National Football League. See you next time. There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie T, be sure to follow me on Twitter @InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page @InTheLabRoom. That's In the Lab Room on Facebook and @InTheLabRoom on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.